After a whole summer of anticipation for the best regional basketball competition to begin, fans across the region have flocked to the first round games. Budućnost began defending their crown in Morača with a resounding triumph over Krka. In the derby of the round, Partizan defeated j.t.d, while Crvena Zvezda treated their home base with a win over Cibona. Sit tight as we wrap it up with the top place of the first round. Welcome to this season first edition of ABA magazine. A new ABA League season has begun. However, a number of clubs still have an eye on the market, trying to further strengthen their teams. Cibona has brought in j.t.d Jefferson, American player who has spent the previous season in Lebanon. A former NBA champion has joined Zadar. Glenn Davis will be staying in the Adriatic coast town for the remainder of the season. Davis played 514 matches in the NBA over 8 seasons, winning a title with the Boston Celtics in 2008. ABA League champions Budućnost started their campaign with an 86-64 win over Krka. Morača Hall has had a facelift just in time to help the home team seem even more dominant against their opponents. After leaving Crvena Zvezda, Alen Omić has played his first game with the Montenegrin team. On the other side, one of the Krka's best, Marko Jošilo, was missing due to an injury. The home team came out with fire in their eyes. They were unstoppable. They started the game with 11 unanswered points. The team from Novo Mesto scored their very first points in the match after 5 minutes. However, they managed to get their head in the game and with a good rhythm in the attack score 8 unanswered points. During the whole game, 3-pointers weren't looking for the home team, but they scored easy turnover and offensive rebound points to keep the distance. They went on the break in a 16-point lead, 49-43. Not much changed when the game resumed. Budućnost was soon in a 20-point lead, and their coach Džikić took his opportunity to try out different player combinations. Aaron Kraft lifted up the final quarter with his fighting spirit, while Edwin Jackson was flexing his muscles. In spite of a poor three-pointer statistics with only 2 scored out of 19 attempts, Budućnost scored 86 points for an easy victory in the first round. Danilo Nikolić was the most efficient home team player with 14 points, while Earl Clark finished the game with 12. Dino Cinac stood out in Simon Petrov's teams with 16 points. This season, the derby of the first round saw Partizan triumph over j.t.d in Zagreb after more than 2,000 days. Nenad Čanak's team defeated their hosts 87-84, mainly thanks to an expertly played first half. Both coaches couldn't count on their full roster. j.t.d had to do it without Majet and Ramljak, and Partizan without C. However, Novica Veličković was once again able to shine for the Belgrade team. He showed his brilliance with a number of excellent plays in crucial moments. It didn't take the guests long to form a double-digit lead. They reached it during the first quarter. Vanja Marinković dictated the attacking rhythm for his team, and the guests scored 28 points in the first 10 minutes. Sito Alonso's team was in even worse shape in the second quarter, and they couldn't find any solution in defense. Partizan didn't have the same problem. Shooting guards Nikolić, Gegić and Aranitović especially stood out in defense during this period. Their lead was growing by the minute to reach 22 points in the last minute of the first half. A few days earlier, Sito Alonso's players found themselves in a similar situation against Crvena Zvezda in the Supercup semi-finals, and their fans were expecting the same comeback they saw in that game. j.t.d didn't disappoint their fans, and they started the third quarter with 10 unanswered points. Vanja Marinković quickly neutralized this with 2 3-pointers, but at the beginning of the final quarter, the home team scored 11 points to Partizan's 3. Thanks to Bell Kops and Benitez, j.t.d reduced the deficit to a single point, but Zagorac stepped up and scored a key 3-point shot with 70 seconds remaining on the clock, which again put his team ahead by 4 points and onto an important win. Vanja Marinković was the best shooter of the game with 25 points and 4 assists. Gagic scored 13 points and 8 rebounds, while Rade Zagorac is proving to be more and more of an asset with 12 points, 7 rebounds and 4 assists. Bell and Kops were the best in the defeated team with 19 points each. After domination and triumph at Supercup played at Laktaši, Crvena Zvezda started new ABA League season with a win against Cibona in Aleksandar Nikolić Hall. Even though the team led by Milan Tomic were favorites, they had to prove it on the court, which was more difficult than expected. Reason for that is a good game from visitors from Zagreb. Coach Velić players started the game better and in just 8 minutes scored 20 points. Home team responded with a series of their own when they scored 17 unanswered points in the second period. Wolves from Tuškovac had problems in offense, and all the way until the last minute of the first half. Marko Ljubicic was the only player who scored for visiting team. Cibona was unable to find a solution for center line of the home team, so at the finish of the first half, a team from Belgrade had 13 points lead. Before 15 minutes break, Cibona gets 2 3-pointers, and Maric continues like that at the beginning of the third period. With 18-3 run, visitors managed to get to the lead, and mostly thanks to the distance shots managed to stay in the game until the last period. Playmaker for Zvezda Joe Regland started playing well and was responsible for an uneventful finish of the game, so points stayed in Belgrade at the start of the season. Former Lokomotiva player scored 13 out of total 22 points in the last period. With Regland, MVP of the Super Cup Mohamed Faye scored in double digits, 2 with a total of 12 points. Cirbes added another 11, while Ojo scored 1 less. With visitors, Ljubicic scored 17 points, 7 rebounds and 4 assists. Captain Rosic ended the game with 13 points. Red and Whites are playing derby of the round when next week they play in Morač against current champion Budućnost. After Partizan, Mega also started the season with a away win. Dejan Milojević team managed to win against Igokea in Laktaši. Final score was 80-79. In a game where they were in the lead during the entire 40 minutes. Mega didn't give up on their concept, so once again they will have a very young roster that was offensively led by Kostja Mušidi. Home team lead during the entire game, and especially in the first period they had problems in attack. Modest shooting percentage, a small number of assists and jumping inferiority. Only reason why Nenad Trajkovic's team managed to stay close during first 20 minutes is excellent free throw percentage and the fact that visitors weren't any better. Little changed in the second half when visitors started to get 3-point shots, which increased their lead to the maximum 61-44. Still, next 9 points were scored by home team, which gave them a hope for turnaround. Mega had several chances to win the game before the very end, but their turnovers kept the opponents alive. Igokea threatened several times, most seriously when Kel scored 3-pointer 58 seconds before the end. But Marjanović answered with a distance shot in the next attack, and then him and Mokoka missed easy shots, an opportunity to seal their opponent's fate. Igokea scored twice for 3 points in last 20 seconds. Mega missed 3 out of 4 free throws, but that one made was enough for them to get a well-deserved win in a typical finish. During the entire game, Igokea wasn't able to stop Gogu Bitadze. He scored a double-double with 24 points and 12 rebounds. Mushidi scored 16, and in losing team most efficient was Tomislav Zupčić with 29 points, while Lešić and Kel added 11 each. FNP started their season with a win, since they won against Zadar 99-86. Both teams started the game nervously, and after 5 minutes score was 6-6. Game was even until the end of the first period, which ended with the home team leading 22-17, after Bažić scored for 3. Second period was marked by incredible Dragan Apić, for whom hosts just couldn't find an answer. FNP center scored 19 out of total of 26 points in the second period and ended his great first half with 25 points scored. On the other end, led by excellent Božić and Vuković, Zadar went to the break with a 46-43 lead. Newest addition to FNP, Matic Rebec, had a great third period with 7 points and 3 assists. Home team scored a 2 3-pointer at the end of the period, one each by Radovanovic and one by Pot, and got a 5-point lead. After 30 minutes of play, score was 73-68. Zadar didn't allow FNP to get away in the last period, so 3.5 minutes before the end they got to 86-83. After that, unbelievable Bursac took matters to his own hands. First he scored from the paint, and then he made 3 corner shots for 3 points. With visitors, Božić was the best with 22 points and 16 rebounds and 3 steals and assists. Vuković had a double-double with 22 points and 11 rebounds. With the winning team, Apić scored 29 points with 8 of 10 shooting and perfect 13 from 13 free throws. Bursac added another 18 points, as much as Rebec, who had 6 assists too. In the first game of new ABA season, Olimpija at Stožice won against Mornar. Final result was 87-66. Olimpija was in the lead for the entire length of the game, and they had a double-digit lead at the end of the first period. After first 10 minutes, result was 25-14. Mornar had a bad shooting percentage for the most of the first half, but at the end of the third period, after Vranjes scored for 3, they managed to make a 6-0 run and get to -5. Score was 37-32. Olimpija managed to go to the halftime break with 8-point lead and then led by magnificent Mirza Begić. They once again gained a double-digit lead at the start of the second half. Uroš Luković and Mornar didn't have a response to Olimpija's skipper, who scored 13 points in third period, and when he went to the bench with 2.5 minutes before the end of the period, results was 58-44 for Olimpija. After 4 consecutive points by Špan, they got to their biggest lead of 28 points, 85-57, and until the end of the game, Mornar managed to soften this heavy defeat. Mornar missed last year's strong weapon, which was a 3-point shot, since they only made 8 out of 28 attempts. Shooting percentage was under 35% and they missed 12 free throws too. Most efficient in the losing team was Vranjes with 12 points and 6 assists. Luković had a double-double with 11 points and 11 rebounds, and Mičević added another 10. With hosts, Begić scored 16 points and 9 rebounds, while returnee to Olimpija Blaž Mesiček scored 16 points alongside 5 rebounds and 7 assists. Double-digit scorers were Bubnić with 14 and Špan and Lapornik with 11 each. MVP of the season's first ABA League round is Dragan Apić. Apić dominated the court in FNP Arena, where his team defeated Zadar. He achieved 25 points in the first half alone and finished the game with 29 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals and a valuation of 40 in 27 minutes spent on court. He had the second highest index value of the round, behind Luka Božić of Zadar. However, FNP took the victory in this game, and the title of MVP goes to Dragan Apić. You've been watching this season's first edition of ABBA magazine. See you again next week with the highlights from the round 2.